Welcome to the Lawless Astrology channel. Today I want to talk about fear and astrology from a mundane standpoint. So, mundane astrology is where we look at how the outer planets are impacting the collective, how they impact everyone. So, it's very different than personal astrology. So, when we look at your natal birth chart, we get a totally different picture. Now, the collective, you are a part of it. So there are things that we are all experiencing together, but then we look more personally and we can get more information about how that is impacting you personally. So that's a little bit about what mundane astrology is. And so I wanted to talk today because the debates are coming up this week, and I was talking to a friend of mine and she said she's so scared. And that was an interesting thing to hear. And I was thinking, wow, a lot of us are fearful. And a lot of us have had trauma over the last few years, whether it be from COVID or, the political scene sort of imploding, and everything that we once knew to be proper decorum no longer proper. So I think that it makes sense that she's feeling this kind of apprehension about something that feels so high stakes. So I just wanted to look at the astrology and of our times and kind of help people understand how they can sit with hard truths, how they can kind of find a degree of peace within themselves when things feel so out of control. So that's kind of what I wanted to look at here today. This is the Lawless Astrology channel, and I'm Dabney Lawless. I am an evolutionary astrologer that studied with Steven Forrest for over 20 years. I look at the cosmos and basically, like I said, how we can work with the planetary energy to find peace in our own personal lives. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about with this fear is Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. So I did a longer video about this with Ricky Williams that you should definitely check out. And while you're there, if you like it, don't forget to subscribe and share and all that good stuff. But for this video, you can like and subscribe and share too. But what I wanted to talk about is 29 Pisces can be a time of tremendous fear, because things are ending. So we have been under Neptune in Pisces for over a decade. Now, Neptune has to do with all things, having to do with the imagination and manifestation and our dreams. But it also has to do with moving pictures and images. And so it can be a dream or it can be a nightmare. Okay, Neptune. And a lot of times it puts us in kind of a foggy haze and we don't know what to trust. A lot of times Neptune energy is very unconscious. So Neptune in Pisces is just like Neptune on steroids. So it's like, okay, here we are. And we love to be in Pisces because we speak the same language and we're singing the same song. That song has really kind of dissolved a lot of the things that we collectively thought we could trust, right? So in the media, we've seen a tremendous shift in the media over the past decade, where we once all had this kind of collective experience of watching, depending on your age, it was Walter Cronkite or Peter Jennings and Dan Rather. So, then Brian Williams, right? So there's always kind of been this like people that we could trust to tell us the truth. Along comes social media. And all of a sudden, those gatekeepers of the truth no longer were as relevant. Okay? So that piece of our childhood or our stability or our things, like the people that were in charge that we could trust, were really no longer the gatekeepers of information. We started being told lies through social media, okay? People that we couldn't trust, people that we didn't know. But a lot of times that information that we were given was given to us in a very amenable way. So along comes what's called the algorithm, right? We all know about the algorithm. when social media first started, we all followed our people, and it was chronological, and we kind of knew what we liked to consume, and we were sharing baby pictures and wedding photos, and it was all kind of happy and good. And then along comes this algorithm that says, no, we actually want you to consume more, and we want to make more money, and like we want you to be happy and addicted. Okay, Neptune and Pisces can also be addiction. Okay, so during this time is when we see the rise of fake news. We see things that become addictive because they confirm our bias. They tell us what we want to hear. Okay, so we have Neptune and Pisces coming along and injecting our media with all sorts of information that we no longer know what we can and we can't trust. At the same time, we're becoming addicted to our phones, and we're becoming addicted to social media. And so we're spending less time and money and energy in legacy media, which is kind of the way it's been for over a century or more. And so here we have one major shift of something ending. Okay, but we don't know how to process this yet. And that's what's coming along and bringing a lot of fear to people, because something that we have trusted and known is coming to the very end. And so do I know where legacy media is going? No, but I know that it's ending. I feel it. Neptune is about to go into Aries, and that, along with Pluto and Aquarius, has a lot to do with AI. I've actually worked in the media industry for 2 decades, and I've seen tremendous shifts in this past year. It's been happening slowly, but this past year has been a real annihilation. A lot of media layoffs, a lot of changing of the narrative. I don't know how many of you know this, but there's been consolidation of the media where there are 6 or 7 big conglomerates, corporate entities, or billionaires, if you will, because that's who own these entities, who own all of the media. They own it all. And so, people were crowing for decades about the liberal media, but that no longer really exists. There may be liberal journalists, but those journalists are beholden to corporate executives who definitely are shaping a narrative. And they are very fear-driven right now because they sense their extinction. And so money becomes something that is at the forefront for all of these organizations. And the more these organizations put it out there that, they need to survive somehow, but they don't know exactly how, because they're at sort of an existential crisis point. Right? So because here we have all these upstart media, whether you're on the left or the right, or you are really into a niche hobby, like astrology, there's all of these kind of upstart people. I used to write for magazines. I used to write horoscopes for legacy magazines like Parents Magazine and Pregnancy and Newborn and Working Mother. Working Mother doesn't even exist anymore. I don't know about Pregnancy and Newborn. I don't think it does in print edition. And Parents is, no longer as influential as it once was, because people are all online. People are all in their Instagram feeds or on YouTube. So everything is kind of changed. Okay, so this is all that Pisces and Neptune things disintegrating. And so when things fall away, we have a fear response. And so that's one thing that's going on. And that's one thing where I will say, so let me talk about how we handle that piece of it, okay, before I move on to the next one. That piece of the fear, what the high side of Pisces and Neptune, what it is calling us to do is to really go within, to gut check, to meditate. Now, you may be someone who's like, oh, I don't meditate. That's fine. You don't have to meditate. You could have a ton of Gemini energy, and that's just not even good for you. But what it really means, though, is getting in touch with your inner knowing. Okay, so everything planetary has a destructive side, a downside, something that's the shadow that's difficult to work with, and everything has a higher possibility. And the higher possibility here is going within and truly asking yourself about what you value, what's important to you, What is your lived experience? Who are you? What do you believe in? What motivates you spiritually? That's the highest piece of Pisces, in Neptune and Pisces. Okay. So when everything's falling away, who can you trust? You can trust yourself. Okay. Now that doesn't mean when the algorithm, you say, I hate Trump, and the algorithm constantly is feeding you negative stories about what a crazy maniac he is, which, or if you hate Biden and the algorithm is feeding you things about how senile he is, dropping his ice cream cones. Okay. The point is, it's not about the algorithm. It's about what you really know, not what you want to know, not what's easy. Okay, what's easy is to fall into the trap of the algorithm. Okay, this is about fighting against fear. And the best way to do that is to tune in, breathe. Breathe. Get out of your head and get into your heart. Where is your empathy? Who do you love? Do you love your neighbor even if they have a political sign that you don't agree with? Can you reach that point? That's important. That's high side of Pisces and Neptune. It's not about holding on to something that you can no longer hold on to, okay? It's about understanding that things may be falling away, but your inner knowing is still the most important thing that you have, okay? So in the face of the fear around the debate or the election, what do you know? And what I've come to is that this is much bigger than me. I know what's right for me. I know what's right in my heart. I know that I love people on both sides of the aisle. I know there are some people that really do not have our best interest at heart. I know this. And I know that I'm doing the best I can. I am behaving kindly. I am taking time to listen to other people. I'm taking the time to truly reflect on what's important to me and my family. And I'm trusting, because that's all we can do right now. So if you don't want to watch the debate, if you already in your heart know what's right for you, don't give in to that kind of fear, okay? Now, if on the other hand, you don't know and you're confused, watch the debate. Don't watch the clips afterwards, which are going to feed you a narrative that may or may not be trustworthy. Video is being manipulated, okay? We are all being manipulated. That is part of what's happening right now, and it's only going to get worse. And so coming back to ourselves and what we know to be true is the highest expression and the best thing that we can do right now. Okay. So the next piece of this has to do with Pluto in Aquarius dipping back into Pluto in Capricorn. So I've done some videos with Ronnie Pontiac. I'm probably going to do a longer video about like the political things and the election coming up and with some predictions. But just the shorthand, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. And it has most recently, last year, it dipped into Aquarius. So Pluto's a very slow moving planet, and it can wreak a lot of destruction wherever it goes. Okay. Now that destruction often is for our higher good, and I will get to that piece of it. But the people in power have been wielding control in a with less than integrity. Let's put it that way. There's been a lot of corruption, I think we've all witnessed over the past decade. I think there's been a lot of upheaval of norms that a wrecking ball has really come in with things like our judicial system, our police, our leaders, our bankers, okay? Like going back all the way to the 2008 banking crisis. And unfortunately, the will of the people has not always been done, right? So we had a popular vote in 2016 that didn't matter. Someone won by 3 million votes and it still didn't matter. Okay, so because of the Electoral College. So now Pluto is going into Aquarius, where it's much more power to the people and less power to the gatekeepers and the top, 1%, or the people who wield power. So what's going to happen here is, the first time that happened, it dipped in, and I'm just looking from a, astrological standpoint. Trump got indicted. Then it went back into Capricorn for a little bit, and now it's in Aquarius, and that's when Trump got convicted. Okay, so these are just examples, right? But there's a lot of things going on with the eclipses, and we talked about Pisces, and Neptune and Pisces at the very, very last degree, and that's going to be happening until January. Okay, and then it's going to dip back and forth. But for the most part, we're, really in this kind of like intensity with Pisces, Neptune energy until the remainder of the year. So Pluto in Aquarius gives more power to the people, all right? But as we finish out the summer, it's going to go back into Capricorn for the final time, right around the election. Okay, so there is the potential for a tremendous amount of upheaval and chaos around kind of the will of the people versus the will of the people in control. Okay, and there's going to be a lot of like stories about rigged elections and you name it, because no one's actually going to be very satisfied or happy, because at this point no one believes in our system. So what can you do personally? So again, I have to check in with myself because I'm very politically, I am interested in politics and try to be well informed. What I say is, again, we have to recognize that this is bigger than us. There's a hand of whatever, hand of God, hand of, God's hand of cosmos, the universe. There are things that are bigger than us. But what we can control is our own personal integrity. So if we live with integrity, and that is the high side of Pluto and Capricorn, is taking the any power that we do have and wielding it properly. Okay? So if you're an election worker, it is not intimidating other people. It is telling the truth no matter what happens. So I don't know where in your life you feel like you have some degree of it doesn't have to be power per se, but control, okay? Where you have something to give to this world, to the outer world, where you make a contribution. That's what I'm trying to say. Make sure your contribution is aligned with your spirit. If we all were making a contribution aligned with our spirit, we wouldn't be having all the chaos we have right now. And I know that is really hard because we cannot control the people around us. We cannot control our crazy uncle who is spouting off about things that don't exist, okay? But we can come from a place of understanding that there's propaganda right now. There are people that are kind of in a trance and being controlled by forces bigger than them. Okay, we have to have compassion right now so we can start to heal. Okay, and we have to live in integrity. The more you live in your own personal integrity, the more we are all collectively going to move forward. And so if you are starting to feel fearful, that's hard to say. Feel fearful. I said it better that time. If you're starting to feel fearful, please, again, check in with yourself. And what do you know? Understand that there are times of chaos in the world. There are things that don't always work out the way we want them to. I can't say right now what's going to happen for the election. I am going to do a prediction-ish. But I'll tell you, Trump's aspects don't look bad and Biden's don't look great. Does that mean that Trump's going to win? I don't necessarily think so. But do I think that we can trust the media narrative? No. I think that the polls are wrong because they're being controlled by people who have a narrative that they want to tell. I think that the media is not living in their integrity, in all honesty, and I think it will bite them in the fanning. And I think that's the lesson that I want everybody to take away from this video, and I don't want to make this too long or preachy, but the more that we can do what we know is right, Okay. And that is not about being in judgment of others or I'm not asking for that. What I'm asking is like the tenets of what is in your heart that you know make the world a better place. The more you can do those things, the better off we're all going to be, and the less the fear is going to eat away at you, because you're going to know that you're doing all you can. So do kind things for other people. Reach out to other people who may not agree with you. I am not saying let them spew lies at you. You are welcome to correct people when they are in delusion. And if they can't hear you, that's okay. You have permission to step away. But don't have hate in your heart, because the hate in your heart is what is kind of become a big snowball that we are all being crushed under. There is too much hate in too many people's hearts right now. And as we move into this next phase where a lot of the outer planets are going to transition into a new place, we each have a role and a place for shedding that fear, because it's going to be scary. It's going to be hard. Things that we knew to be true and real are no longer there for us. So what are we going to do in the face of that? And I think it's about picking ourselves up, living in integrity, trusting our guts, reaching out and helping other people, and really just like holding, and I'm not like new agey, like, oh, if we manifest a better world. No, it's about accountability, being accountable to yourself, your loved ones, and integrity. So as we move into these bigger outer planet transits, I hope to do more videos to kind of help you understand the planetary energy, so then you can work with it in a very positive way. Because like I said, the high side of Pisces and Neptune is about meditation and compassion and empathy and love for other people and housing the homeless and helping people with addiction problems, okay? That's not necessarily happening in this world. So that is where we need to go, okay? And that hopefully will be Neptune and Aries. And the high side of Capricorn Pluto and Capricorn has everything to do with wielding power with integrity, making a contribution to society that benefits society, not greed, not taking, not getting mine. It's all about taking accountability and responsibility together for those that you love and the world around you, okay? Being somebody that is worthy of being important. And we have been elevating people for far too long that are not worthy of the status that they have been given, whether that's a celebrity, a sports figure, a politician, a YouTube celebrity. There are people that do not deserve to be elevated the way that they have been elevated. And I think some of that's going to start coming down, crashing around us. And I think that's not a bad thing. So breathe, as always. Know that the universe is conspiring to help you, and that change is coming, but change is not necessarily bad, and you can only do what you can do. So if you are afraid to watch the debates on Thursday, that's okay. I'm a little afraid too. So, all right, I hope everything goes well for you this week, and there's a reason and a season for it all. So trust the cosmos, and until next time, see you later.